In the annals of war, few forces struck terror like these colossal beasts, the living siege engines. Against their unstoppable might, even Alexander's veteran legions faced their ultimate, terrifying test. Yet, on the banks of the Hydaspes, a legendary conqueror would defy the impossible. But before the thunder, there was silence. A single scout's discovery changed history forever. Deep in the heart of India, an empire stood ready, unlike any Alexander had faced before. King Porus commanded not just men, but the very earth itself, through his formidable war beasts. These were not merely animals, they were living siege engines, weapons of unparalleled psychological power. Each beast, a ton of muscle and rage, a towering force of destruction on the ancient battlefield. Alexander's relentless march had stretched his army across continents to the very edge of the known world. His triumphs were legendary, his conquests unprecedented. But India presented a new, fearsome challenge. Reports from the front lines painted a grim picture, an army unlike any seen before. His loyal Macedonians, unyielding in spirit, faced an unknown and terrifying new foe. How could even the greatest conqueror overcome these terrifying living siege engines of ancient war? This was the strategic question that hung heavy, a dark shadow over Alexander's brilliant mind. The Hydaspes River, a formidable barrier, separated two ancient titans poised for an epic clash. The stakes were astronomical. His legendary empire and legacy hung precariously in the balance. King Porus, defending his homeland, commanded respect. His resolve was as unyielding as his majestic elephants. Ancient warfare demanded more than brute force. It required cunning, adaptation, and sheer strategic brilliance. This battle wasn't just about men and steel. It was a collision of ancient military doctrines. We delve deep into the why of this epic confrontation, unraveling Alexander's most daring gamble. Discover the ingenious strategies employed to triumph against the colossal, terrifying beasts of India. Join us as Alexander meets his greatest, most terrifying challenge at the legendary Hydaspes River. From sun-drenched sands to distant, unknown lands, Alexander's ambition forged an empire unprecedented in history. His relentless march, a whirlwind of conquest, swept across empires, redrawing the very maps of the ancient world. The Hellespont crossed, a fateful step. Alexander's eyes now set on the sprawling, wealthy Persian Empire. At Granicus, Persian satraps crumbled. Alexander's cavalry, an unstoppable force, heralded a new era of dominance. The Gordian knot, a challenge of fate. Alexander's swift solution, a symbol of his decisive leadership. Issus witnessed Darius's flight. His vast army shattered. Alexander's tactical genius secured another decisive victory. 7 months, a monumental siege. Tyre's impregnable walls yielded to Alexander's engineering and unwavering resolve. Egypt welcomed him as liberator, pharaoh. He founded Alexandria, a beacon of Hellenistic culture and power. Gaugamela, the ultimate test. Darius's mightiest army broken, Alexander crowned king of Asia. Persepolis, the heart of Persia, burned. A symbolic end to an ancient empire, a new dawn for Alexander. With Persia subdued, Alexander's ambition drove him further into the wild, untamed eastern territories. Across Bactria and Sogdiana, fierce resistance tested his limits. A new, challenging phase of conquest began. In the heart of Afghanistan, a strategic marriage. Roxana symbolized the merging of East and West. Decades of war, boundless loyalty. His hardened veterans, an unbreakable shield, followed him anywhere. Through scorching deserts and treacherous mountains, their discipline was legendary, their spirit unbroken. He led from the front, sharing their hardships, inspiring unyielding devotion. Alexander was more than a king. His vision transcended conquest. He dreamed of a unified world, a Hellenistic empire spanning continents. New cities arose in his wake, fostering trade and Hellenistic culture, linking distant lands together. Beyond the eastern mountains, India beckoned, a land of immense wealth, formidable armies, and unknown wonders. Preparations began for the ultimate frontier. India awaited, promising glory and untold perils alike. Supplying an army of thousands across vast, hostile lands presented unprecedented logistical nightmares. Maintaining vital communication across an empire of this scale demanded extraordinary speed and dedication. New satrapies, new challenges. Governing vast, diverse populations required political acumen and force. The momentum of conquest was relentless. Stopping meant collapse. Only forward motion sustained the empire. But beyond the rivers, a new power emerged. India's mightiest king and his terrifying war beasts. His name echoed across continents, a legend born of fire and steel, growing with every conquered mile. The momentum of conquest was relentless. Stopping meant collapse. Only forward motion sustained the empire. Alexander's mind was always several steps ahead, planning not just battles, but the future of his world. The Indus crossed, the Hydaspes lay ahead. The ultimate test against India's fearsome war elephants. Before the storm, a moment of calm. Alexander the Conqueror facing his most legendary challenge yet. Beyond the Hellenic world lay a realm of immense wealth, ancient cultures, and formidable kingdoms. Among these, the Pauravan kingdom, a powerful entity, stood defiantly on the subcontinent's threshold. Its sovereign, King Porus, was more than a ruler. He was the very embodiment of his nation's pride, a king of immense military prowess. His name echoed fear and respect across the Indian battlefields. Ancient India harbored military traditions steeped in centuries of honor, strategy, and martial excellence. These rich traditions forged warriors of unparalleled courage, ready to defend their sacred homeland. But the true might, the living fortresses of the Indian army, were their magnificent war elephants. These majestic beasts were not mere animals. They were instruments of war, revered and feared. Their tactical deployment was an art, a living wall designed to break enemy lines and morale. Charging with terrifying force, they scattered infantry, crushed formations, and instilled primal fear. The psychological impact of war elephants was profound, a thunderous, living nightmare on the battlefield. They were designed to shatter the most disciplined formations, turning order into chaotic, desperate flight. In stark contrast, Alexander's Macedonians relied on the precision of their phalanx and cavalry. Their doctrine emphasized speed, maneuverability, and the crushing hammer and anvil tactic. Indian armies integrated diverse units, but the elephants remained the undisputed linchpin of their strategy. King Porus, watching Alexander's approach, was unwavering in his determination to defend his sacred homeland. He knew the stakes were immense. His kingdom, his people, his legacy, all depended on this moment. Alexander had conquered empires, yet here stood a worthy adversary, fiercely protective of his land. Porus would not yield. He was prepared to meet the Macedonian tide with his formidable Indian might. Every warrior, every elephant stood ready. The defenses were prepared. The lines were drawn. The Hydaspes River now became the focal point, a strategic choke point, a barrier to be defended. Alexander's scouts reported a vast, disciplined Indian army, unlike any he had faced before. Porus, a master strategist, understood the terrain, planning to exploit every natural advantage. His pride was not arrogance, but a deep-seated commitment to sovereignty and the defense of his people. Even Alexander, the great conqueror, recognized he faced a formidable, intelligent, and determined foe. Across the river, two military titans, two distinct doctrines, poised for an unprecedented confrontation. The air crackled with anticipation. The greatest armies of East and West were about to collide. Two legendary leaders, each convinced of victory, prepared to unleash their full might. The stage was set for an epic, brutal clash that would forever etch their names in history. The battle for India's heart, a testament to courage and strategy, was moments away. The Hydaspes River, a formidable natural barrier separating two titans, Alexander the Great and King Porus. Alexander faced an impossible challenge, crossing this raging river under the watchful eyes of a powerful enemy. Porus, with his formidable war elephants, held the opposing bank, vigilant, awaiting Alexander's move. A tense standoff ensued, with neither side daring to make the first, potentially catastrophic move. The river's swift currents and formidable breadth made a direct crossing suicidally perilous for any army. Alexander, a master of strategy, knew direct confrontation was folly. He needed a brilliant deception. His plan: to use cunning and misdirection to lull Porus into a false sense of security. Diversionary movements began. Small units of cavalry feigned crossing attempts, drawing enemy attention. Porus's scouts reported constant Macedonian activity, but never a full-scale commitment to cross. False campfires burned brightly each night, suggesting the entire Macedonian army remained stationary. Elaborate feints included building and then abandoning crossing points, exhausting Porus's reserves. Porus, wearying of the constant false alarms, gradually became less responsive to every movement. Alexander's relentless feints eroded Porus's vigilance, preparing him for the ultimate deception. Then, nature provided its own crucial cover. A violent storm began to brew on the horizon. Under the veil of a ferocious storm, Alexander initiated his audacious main crossing, miles upstream. The chosen crossing point, a hidden bend in the river, far from Porus's main observation posts. Under the cover of darkness and the storm's fury, the main crossing force moved into position. Every movement was executed with silent precision, every command given with utmost discretion. Makeshift boats, expertly crafted, were slipped into the roaring water, carrying the first wave. The perilous journey began. Soldiers battled the ferocious currents, their lives hanging by a thread. The sheer physical effort, coupled with the storm's chaos, tested their resolve to its absolute limits. Cavalry horses, essential for the battle, swam bravely, guided by their determined riders across. While Porus focused on the feints downstream, Alexander's main army was already halfway across. Indian sentries, blinded by the downpour and lulled by false alarms, saw nothing of the real threat. Alexander's logistical genius was on full display, organizing the transport of thousands across the deadly river. Heavy equipment and vital supplies were ferried across, ensuring the army was battle-ready. As dawn approached, the first Macedonian units secured a precarious foothold on the hostile bank. Wet, weary, but resolute, they knew the most dangerous part of the crossing was yet to begin. Wave after wave of Macedonian warriors landed, rapidly consolidating their beachhead, preparing for action. The incredible feat of transporting an entire army across a raging river was nearing completion. As the storm began to subside, a horrifying sight met Porus's commanders: Alexander's army. The deception was complete. Porus's vigilant watch had been utterly outmaneuvered and bypassed. Confusion erupted in the Indian camp. The enemy was across, poised to strike, unseen. Alexander, always leading from the front, wasted no time. His cavalry advanced swiftly inland, the impossible accomplished. Alexander's strategic genius had overcome the river's formidable obstacle. This daring night crossing showcased Alexander's strategic brilliance and his army's unwavering discipline. The river was conquered. Now, the stage was set for the epic confrontation with Porus's elephants. Porus, realizing the depth of Alexander's cunning, hastily prepared his formidable war elephants. On the opposing bank, the Macedonian phalanx formed, ready to face the mighty Indian army. The pre-battle tension was palpable. Two titans, two military philosophies, about to collide. Alexander's mind raced, already analyzing Porus's likely countermoves, planning his next tactical stroke. The suspense built to a fever pitch as the world braced for the clash of empires. The deadly Hydaspes crossing was a prelude, a masterclass in deception and audacious military execution. Alexander's strategic cunning had delivered his army into position. The Battle of Hydaspes was imminent. On the banks of the Hydaspes, two titans prepared to clash. A new dawn, a new chapter. Alexander's hardened veterans, though victorious across continents, now faced their most fearsome challenge. Before them stood Porus, a king of legend, commanding an army unlike any Alexander had ever encountered. The heart of Porus's power, monstrous war elephants, symbols of ancient might, living engines of destruction. Then the earth-shattering call, a signal echoing across the battlefield. Unleashing the storm upon Macedon, the charge began. Massive beasts, driven by war cries, thundered forward, a terrifying, unstoppable wave. Dust clouds billowed, obscuring the horizon. A living, moving wall of muscle, tusks, and raw power. The very ground trembled under their colossal weight. Each step a hammer blow, announcing their terrifying arrival. Alexander watched, studying the charge. Even his genius would be tested against such an unprecedented, brutal force. The phalanx stood, an iron shield. They had faced empires, but never a horde of living siege engines. The gap closed, the air filled with terrifying bellows, a primordial sound, signaling inevitable, devastating collision. The impact was catastrophic. Steel met hide, wood met flesh, sending shockwaves through the Macedonian ranks. Spears designed to pierce armor proved fragile. The elephants were living fortresses, shrugging off early assaults. With brutal efficiency, tusks became deadly weapons, tearing through flesh, rending the disciplined formations apart. Order fractured. The rigid lines of the phalanx, Alexander's unbreakable shield, began to buckle and break. Panic threatened to consume them. Men who had known only victory now faced a terror beyond their wildest nightmares. The battlefield transformed into a maelstrom. Every thundering step scattered lives, leaving devastation in its wake. In their eyes, true fear. Yet, the warrior spirit of Macedon refused to yield, even against monsters. The mahouts, masters of their beasts, expertly navigated the chaos, directing their living weapons with precision. Trunks became flails, crushing and tossing. The Macedonian phalanx, once impregnable, now faced utter dissolution. On the wings, Alexander's elite cavalry watched the unfolding horror, their brethren being crushed by giants. Even the great Alexander understood the peril. This was a battle for survival, not merely conquest. Wave after wave, the colossal beasts pressed on, tearing open vital avenues for the Indian infantry to exploit. Amidst the horror, defiant standards remained. A silent promise, Macedon would not break, not without a fight. Desperate circles formed, men fighting back to back, attempting to find any weakness in the rampaging behemoths. The battle raged, a brutal testament to the clash of civilizations, of ancient tactics meeting unprecedented power. Human lives, fragile against such force. Soldiers were tossed like toys, their courage tested beyond limits. The ground became a gruesome canvas, painted red by sacrifice. Every inch fought, every life a tragic cost. Individual bravery shone through the terror. Desperate men fighting with the ferocity of cornered lions. The sheer might of these beasts was undeniable, a stark reminder of nature's raw, untamed, destructive force. Alexander's mind worked furiously. He recognized the elephant's weakness and began to adapt his battle plan. The famed companion cavalry, Alexander's finest, now moved, not to charge head-on, but to outmaneuver. Horses shied, terrified by the scent and size of the giants. But their riders pushed forward, determined. Courage was not just human. Even the horses, despite their fear, carried their masters into the maelstrom. Targeting vital points, riders sought chinks in their armored hides. Each thrust a gamble, a desperate plea. Wounded, the giants turned. Their pain-filled roars now spread panic among their own, an unexpected twist. Behind the elephants, Porus's infantry surged. The brutal, man-to-man struggle now truly ignited across the field. Steel met steel, courage met courage. The battle's fury was now a raw, personal, devastating confrontation. Despite the losses, the Macedonians pushed. Their legendary discipline and will to conquer refused to falter. Alexander's strategy began to evolve, adapting to the chaos. The tide, however slowly, might yet be turned. The symphony of death echoed across the Hydaspes, a brutal, relentless orchestra playing its deadly final notes. This was the true test of men, a crucible of courage. Facing insurmountable odds, they refused to surrender. Amidst the carnage, Alexander saw more than chaos. He saw weaknesses, opportunities, and the path to victory. The Hydaspes, a theater of war where courage clashed with terror, defining the very essence of ancient combat. The legendary war elephants of Porus marched, a living wall of terror, an unprecedented challenge for Alexander. For years, stories of these colossal beasts had filled Macedonian camps with both awe and dread. Alexander, however, saw not insurmountable terror, but a tactical problem to be solved with ingenuity and courage. His brilliant mind quickly devised a strategy to negate their power, turning Porus's greatest asset into a weakness. Commanders received precise, daring orders. Alexander planned to envelop the Indian army, breaking its formidable center. The mighty phalanx would adapt, preparing for a fluid battle. Flexibility was paramount against such an enemy. A subtle yet crucial shift began. Alexander's forces commenced an elaborate pincer designed to encircle their foe. Each soldier understood their role. Discipline and coordination were vital to execute this complex, audacious maneuver. Crucially, Alexander tasked his agile light infantry with a deadly, specialized mission, engaging the terrifying elephants directly. Meanwhile, the Macedonian cavalry, his shock weapon, moved to outflank the entire Indian formation, unseen. Their weapons were chosen carefully. Javelins for distance, short swords for the inevitable brutal close-range attack. Years of training now culminated. They practiced striking weak points, preparing for the most dangerous foe. Their target, the mahouts atop and the colossal beast's legs below. Precision would sow chaos. These brave men, often overlooked, would be the elephant slayers, turning the tide with their daring actions. Far on the flanks, Alexander's elite cavalry pushed relentlessly, a hidden threat moving into position. Their rapid, unseen movement was critical, designed to spring a devastating trap when least expected. Under Coenus's expert leadership, the horsemen maneuvered, poised to deliver a crushing blow from the rear. The strategic outflanking was complete. Porus remained unaware of the impending doom from his exposed rear. With a deafening roar, the Indian war elephants thundered forward, an awe-inspiring, seemingly invincible living tide. Macedonian lines braced. The phalanx, a disciplined, unwavering shield, prepared for the monumental impact of beasts. The initial collision was brutal. Elephants ripped through formations, scattering soldiers, creating gaps and terror. But amidst the chaos, the light infantry moved. A swarm of determined warriors engaging the giant creatures. Volleys of arrows targeted the mahouts, those guiding the beasts. Their fall sparked confusion and panic. A fallen mahout meant a wild, uncontrollable beast, now a threat to friend and foe alike. Driverless, the colossal animals panicked, their instincts overriding training, turning in terror and confusion. The archers worked tirelessly, ensuring a constant barrage, sustaining pressure on the rampaging elephants and their guides. Below, light infantry relentlessly attacked the elephants' legs, severing tendons, bringing the titans crashing down. Every painful blow weakened the giants. The beasts roared, their power slowly, agonizingly, draining away. Injured elephants buckled, creating colossal obstacles. Their falling bodies crushed any who stood too close. Through sheer numbers and relentless courage, the Macedonians systematically began felling the fearsome war elephants. The turning point arrived. Panicked, injured elephants began stampeding through Porus's own infantry, causing utter devastation. Caught between the frenzied beasts and Alexander's relentless advance, Indian formations dissolved into desperate chaos. The terrifying spectacle unfolded. Elephants, once a symbol of power, now became instruments of self-destruction. Porus's commanders watched in horror as their once mighty advantage shattered, turning against their very own. Seizing the moment, the disciplined Macedonian phalanx pressed forward, exploiting the chaos, relentlessly pushing the enemy. The Indian center buckled under the dual pressure. Their lines broke, cohesion evaporated under dire stress. Panic spread like wildfire. Many Indian soldiers, seeing their situation hopeless, began to break and flee. Alexander's ingenuity, combined with his soldiers' unyielding resolve, ensured momentum swung decisively their way. Then, the pincer slammed shut. Alexander's cavalry, unseen until now, crashed into the Indian rear. Trapped between the phalanx and cavalry, Porus's army was encircled, facing destruction from all sides. The battle became a desperate rout. Indian resistance crumbled, overwhelmed by the strategic brilliance and might. Those who could fled in terror. The once formidable Indian army was now a shattered, fleeing remnant. Amidst the fallen giants and broken ranks, Alexander surveyed his latest, most daring and decisive victory. The Hydaspes proved that even the most formidable beasts could be overcome by superior strategy and human ingenuity. The dawn broke on a landscape of desolation. Hydaspes River's banks bore witness to a victory bought at unimaginable cost. Macedonian ranks were thinned, their spirits heavy with loss. The triumph was bitter, etched in blood and sacrifice. For the Indians, defeat was utter devastation. Porus's proud army shattered, his people in profound mourning. Alexander surveyed the carnage, a conqueror burdened by victory's true price. Even glory demanded a heavy toll. Amidst the devastation, a monumental figure was found. King Porus, wounded but unbowed, captured by Macedonian patrols. The legendary king, brought low by battle, approached Alexander. His gaze, though pained, held an unbroken defiance. Alexander waited, perhaps anticipating a display of submission. He would soon witness something far more profound. Two titans, now face to face. The air crackled with unspoken history, a silent acknowledgement of their epic clash. Alexander's question echoed the battlefield. How should I treat you? A pivotal moment, history holding its breath. Porus replied with legendary defiance. Like a king, a response that transcended defeat, demanding respect. Alexander was deeply moved by such regal spirit. He saw not a defeated foe, but a kindred soul. His admiration for Porus's bravery solidified. A bond of respect forged in the crucible of fierce combat. Alexander declared his intent. Porus, the formidable adversary, would be reinstated as a vassal ruler. This act of magnanimity surprised all. Alexander, the conqueror, also knew the art of honorable peace. Porus's lands were restored, even expanded. A new alliance, born from mutual respect, now shaped the East. The majestic, terrifying war elephants, once instruments of destruction, now integrated into Alexander's forces. These formidable beasts, symbols of Indian might, would soon march under Macedonian banners. A new weapon acquired. Their power and presence became a part of the army, a testament to Alexander's ability to adapt and absorb. Yet beneath the surface of victory, a deep weariness settled upon the Macedonian troops. Their morale was fractured. Tales of further, even larger armies and fiercer creatures beyond the Hydaspes haunted their waking thoughts. The cost of Hydaspes weighed heavily. Every mile deeper into India promised only more sacrifice, more bloodshed. Then, at the Hydaspes River, the unthinkable happened. The army, unified in spirit, refused to advance further. A conqueror's will met an unbreakable wall. Even Alexander could not compel men who had given their absolute all. The Hydaspes River, a timeless current, marks not just a battleground, but a profound turning point in ancient history. Here, Alexander's insatiable ambition found its ultimate geographical limit. The Hydaspes became his empire's easternmost extent. The echoes of battle faded, yet the Hydaspes carved a lasting impact, shaping the long-term historical significance of Alexander's push. Beyond conquest, the battle initiated a unique cultural dialogue. Hellenistic influences began their intricate dance with Indian traditions. Artistic styles, philosophical ideas, and even administrative practices traversed vast distances. India and the Hellenistic world exchanged legacies. New trade routes blossomed, connecting distant empires. Goods and knowledge flowed freely, intertwining economies and cultures. Intellectual currents converged. Greek philosophy met Indian thought, creating a vibrant tapestry of shared human understanding and innovation. The Hydaspes offered crucial military lessons. Commanders globally observed how Alexander countered India's terrifying war elephants. Innovative tactics emerged. Skirmishes, phalanxes, and cavalry were meticulously coordinated, revealing the beast's surprising weaknesses. This battle transformed ancient warfare. It provided a tactical blueprint for future generations battling these colossal living tanks. Though Alexander retreated, his legacy lingered. Hellenistic kingdoms, like the Indo-Greek, continued to thrive in India's fringes. The Hydaspes became the symbolic boundary of his ambition. He conquered the elephants, but not the vastness beyond. Despite his ultimate withdrawal, the battle solidified Alexander's legendary status. His audacious victories echoed through centuries. The legend of Alexander, the conqueror of the known world, grew even larger, fueled by this epic eastern clash. Beyond Hydaspes lay an unforgiving subcontinent. The Himalayas and formidable kingdoms posed insurmountable barriers to further conquest. Hydaspes cemented a legacy of military innovation, influencing future commanders from Rome to the modern era. The strategic lessons of Hydaspes are studied even today. It remains a case study in adapting to novel military challenges. Alexander's campaign, culminating at Hydaspes, inextricably linked the Hellenistic and Indian worlds, forever altering their trajectories. Historians meticulously analyze the consequences of Hydaspes, recognizing its profound ripple effect across ancient civilizations and beyond. This battle redirected the flow of history. Alexander's eastern retreat reshaped the future of his vast fledgling empire. It underscored the limits of imperial overreach, a timeless warning for conquerors throughout history regarding distant frontiers. The Battle of the Hydaspes endures. It's a testament to audacious ambition, tactical genius, and ultimately, human limits. The river silently testifies to Alexander's easternmost conquest, a legacy etched into the very fabric of world history. The Hydaspes, a name etched in history, a monumental clash of titans and the ultimate test of wills. Alexander's relentless ambition drove his empire to the very edge of the known world, defying all limits. Human ingenuity shone through his daring strategy, outmaneuvering an entrenched enemy and their formidable defenses. Facing overwhelming odds, courage was their shield against the terrifying might of India's formidable war elephants. Alexander's tactical brilliance turned the tide, transforming a perilous confrontation into a symphony of strategic victory. This wasn't merely a battle, it was a profound testament to the indomitable human spirit in adversity. Every soldier, every decision, forged a legend, proving that ingenuity and bravery can conquer all. The Hydaspes River became an undeniable strategic masterpiece, forever changing the landscape of ancient warfare. It was a pivotal moment, pushing the boundaries of what was thought militarily possible in antiquity. Here, an unstoppable force of conquest met the immovable object of fierce, determined resistance. Yet, through sheer will and brilliant execution, Alexander found a way to triumph against every challenge. If you crave more epic historical analyses, subscribe to a leading analysis channel and join our community. Like this video, comment your thoughts on Alexander's enduring legacy and what this battle means. Share this incredible story of conquest and ingenuity with fellow history enthusiasts. Thank you for watching.